sadbhūto gamanaṁ gantā triprakāraṁ na gacchati nāsadbhūtopi gamanaṁ triprakāraṁ sa gacchati gamanaṁ sad-asadbhūtaḥ triprakāraṁ na gacchati tasmād gatiś gantā gantavyaṃ ca na vidyate tasmād gatiś gantā gantavyaṃ ca na vidyate.
Sadbhūto gamanaṁ gantā triprakāraṁ na gacchati nāsadbhūtopi gamanaṁ triprakāraṁ sa gacchati. MMK chapter 2 verse 24. An existent goer does not visiting of the three kinds. One who does not exist also does not visiting of three kinds. Gamanaṁ sad-asadbhūtaḥ triprakāraṁ na gacchati tasmād gatiś gantā gantavyaṃ na vidyate. MMK chapter 2 verse 25. One who does and does not exist does not visiting of three kinds. Or, one who is truly beyond being right does not visiting of three kinds. On these grounds, there is no way to go and no goer, and there is no place to go and visit. So, on these grounds, tasmād. Chapter 1 also finishes the same way. Tasmād means therefore, but literally it's ablative. The art ending is ablative, so from that. Tasmād means from that. Therefore, or on those grounds, on these grounds. So the grounds on which Nagarjuna is reaching his conclusion, that's what we're here to deepen our understanding of. And as I mentioned in connection with yesterday's two verses, I've thought long and hard about the meaning in the final verse of sad-asadbhūtaḥ. So sat means what is true or real as an adjective. It actually represents the present participle of the verbal root as, to be. So sat means being, and by extension what is, and by extension what is true, what is real. So on the face of it, verse 24 sets up existence, the question of existence, non-existence, and then sad-asadbhūtaḥ can be understood in two ways, as being both existent and non-existent. That's how it's always been understood if you look at other translations. Sad-asad is a compound, and one and. So does exist, does not exist. So sadbhūtaḥ, if you look at sadbhūtaḥ in the dictionary, it means, so bhūta means being. So sadbhūtaḥ means being true, being real, existing. So sad-bhūtaḥ, asadbhūtaḥ means being existent, being non-existent. And so that is related with the Buddha's teaching in chapter 15, where he tells Katyayana, it exists is the eternity view. It does not exist is the view. Those are the two extremes. And the Buddha teaches the Dharma by way of the middle, which is dependent arising or emptiness. So, on the other hand, you've got the very beginning of chapter 1, the so-called Chatuskorti of Indian philosophy, which is A, B, both A and B, neither A nor B. So then the other thing to bear in mind. See, every verse really you need to be aware of the whole of MMK to understand all the implications of what might be said in any verse. And so you've also got, on the one hand, you've got verses 8 and 15 of this chapter, in which you've got this anyo gantura gantuscha, one who is different from the goer and the non-goer. And for me, that word anya, again, to really understand MMK, you have to go back and read Asvaghosha, because Nagarjuna is sure as hell would have been very familiar with all Asvaghosha's work. And Asvaghosha uses the word anya to convey a hidden meaning often, because what he seems to be talking about is another individual. Say the girls who are all asleep in the harem when the Buddha left them. On the face of it, it's just one girl and a particularly extreme individual had her tits hanging out, and it seems like a very suggestive and provocative description of a harem. But when you look for the hidden meaning, then anya means one who is different, and I think it means a practitioner in a vihara who's not the same as everybody else. So in our conceptions, we think monks in a vihara, all dropping off body and mind and following each other in a group. But if you actually live among individual people, it's everybody has got their own individuality, and I think anya suggests that. And then for confirmation of that in Shobo Genzo, in chapter 28, Butsuko Jonoji, the matter of going up beyond Buddha. Here is Master Koboko Hojo in Japanese. Zen friends, now tell me, what is this matter of going up beyond the Buddhist patriarch? There is a child of an ordinary human family whose 6 sense organs are incomplete and whose 7 kinds of consciousness are imperfect. He's a great ichantika. Ichantika means does whatever the hell he likes, without the seeds of Buddha nature. When he meets Buddha, he kills Buddha. When he meets patriarchs, he kills patriarchs. Heaven cannot accept him, and even hell has no gate that would take him in. Monks, do you know this person or not? After a good while, the master says, the one facing you now is not a man of Saindava. Okay, it means he's not got brilliant intuition. He sleeps a lot and talks a lot in his sleep. So this is an example of what Master Dogen called hibutsu, a non-Buddha. So a non-Buddha doesn't mean a person who's not a Buddha. It means a Buddha who doesn't conform to what you expect a Buddha to be. And that in Sanskrit is anya, one who is different, one who is other from what you think and feel. So, in conclusion, I think that's what sad-asadbhūtaḥ means in verse 20, chapter 20, in verse 25. So, in that case, sad means truly, really, and asad means so means not or beyond, and sadbhūtaḥ means being right. So sad-asadbhūtaḥ means truly, sad, beyond, sadbhūtaḥ, being right. One who is truly beyond being right does not visiting of the 3 kinds. So I think he's positing existence and non-existence. And you see, in a sense, it's to catch us out in our intellectual arrogance. We think he knows what he means. It's existence, non-existence, and both existence and non-existence. But if we only study the words like a scholar, like a Sanskrit scholar, and like someone who knows Buddhist philosophy, we're going to miss the deeper meaning, because the deeper meaning emerges when you actually live, when you struggle to see what it means in your own everyday life. So it goes back to the chapter title again. The title of this chapter is Gata Gamyamana Pariksha. So exploration of the visited, the not yet visited, and the now being visited. So okay, so once it's been explained, he's talking about the past, present, and future. The past, the future, and the present. So okay, I've understood it now. It's Nagarjuna's exploration of the three times, or examination of the three times, investigation of the three times. No, it's not. It's not any of those. It's exploration. When I was commenting on the chapter title, I don't think I went through because I've done it before, I didn't look in detailing on the meaning of pariksha. Pariksha means, iksha is the feminine noun from iksh, to look. So pari-iksh means look into fully. Pari-iksh, look into fully. Pariksha, looking into fully. So that's why it's translated as examination or investigation. But it's more than an investigation. I think it's exploration. It's exploration. So exploration is not something that anybody's ever done with their intellect. Explorers, pack up their provisions and set off for the Antarctic or space or whatever. Exploration is done with one's whole body and mind. And I think that's what I'm talking about here. To understand what this concluding verse means, the only way is to sit on the same zafu as Nagarjuna. That's the kind of expression that Master Dogen would use. So I'll go through the translation from the English, from verse 24. An existent goer. Sadbhūto gantā. Goer, gantā, nominative singular masculine. Sadbhūto, so sadbhūtaḥ means existing. So really being, or being real. But sadbhūtaḥ means existent. And I forgot to mention that in chapter 8, you've got an exploration of all the different combinations of sad and asad, existent and non-existent. So when I first translated this chapter, I translated sad-asadbhūtaḥ as in line with what I just said. So truly beyond being right, something like that. In other words, an expression of a non-Buddha. But then when I came to chapter 8, I went back, because chapter 8 is clearly, you've got sad-asad and sad-asad, existent, non-existent, and both existent and non-existent. And so he's looking at all combinations of those three possibilities. And in that chapter also, in the first two verses, there's merit in looking for the hidden meaning. But in general, sad means existent and asad means non-existent. Certainly in verse 24, it's safe to think of sadbhūto. I think it's safe, maybe I'm wrong, but sadbhūto gantā, an existent goer. Does not visit, gacchati, visiting, gamanaṁ. So gamanaṁ means visiting or going. Gacchati means he goes or he visits. Visiting of the three kinds, gamanaṁ, triprakāraṁ. So tri is three, and prakara is a sort or a kind. So gamanaṁ, triprakāraṁ, visiting of three kinds. Sadbhūto gamanaṁ gantā, triprakāraṁ gacchati. Sadbhūto, existent. Gamanaṁ, going. Gantā, goer. Triprakāraṁ, agreeing with gamanaṁ, three kinds. Gacchati, does not go, does not visit. An existent goer does not visit, visiting of three kinds. Okay, so you can understand that sentence as being primarily it's a negation of the notion of an existent goer, because an existent goer means a self-existing, non-empty goer, and such a person is incapable of moving at all, of acting or changing the world at all. An existent goer only exists in the eternity view, so it's impossible for such a person to visit the past, present or future, or to study, to explore the content of this chapter, the three kinds of visiting, which is the already visited, the not yet visited, and the now being visited. The second line is just the opposite, the negative of that. Nāsadbhūto gamanaṃ triprakāraṁ gacchati. One who does not exist, asadbhūto, not, sad, true, right, being, bhūto, being. So bhūta is the past participle of bhū, which is another verbal root that means to be. So sat is from the verbal root as, and bhūta is the past participle of the root bhū. So it's like sat is being, and bhūta is being. But in a compound, bhūta means being. So sad-bhūtaḥ kind of very literally means being. And that means being true, being real. The dictionary definition of sad-bhūtaḥ is who or what is really good or true. Okay, so in this context, it means one who does not exist. Sad-bhūtaḥ. So nominative singular masculine. So the man who does not exist. Also, api. So bhūtaḥ plus api goes to bhūtopi. Sad-bhūtopi. One who does not exist also does not visit. Na gacchati. And the na is at the beginning of the sentence. So na plus sad-bhūtaḥ is nāsadbhūto. Plus p, nāsadbhūtopi. One who does not exist also does not visit. Nāsadbhūtopi gacchati. Nāsadbhūtopi gacchati. Visiting of the three kinds, gamanaṃ, triprakāraṁ. So, nāsadbhūtopi gamanaṃ, triprakāraṁ gacchati. Because gantā is understood in the second line. You've got, in the first line has gantā, the second line there's no gantā, it's understood. So that gives Nagarjuna two extra syllables to play with. So he's put api, p, and sa in the final pada, sa gacchati. So he does not visit. So literally, one who does not exist also, he does not visit, visiting of three kinds. But I think the sa is there not for any particular emphasis, but just to bring up the number of syllables. Plus, there's no need to be have the male pronoun in there unnecessarily. So, again from the English, one who does not exist, asadbhūto, asadbhūtaḥ, one who does not exist also, asadbhūtopi, does not visit, nagacchati, so nāsadbhūtopi gacchati, visiting of three kinds, gamanaṁ, triprakāraṁ, he, sa. Nāsadbhūto gamanaṁ, triprakāraṁ sa gacchati. One who does not exist also does not visiting of the three kinds. So it kind of mirrors the opening verse. An existent goer does not visiting of three kinds, still less does one who does not exist visiting of the three kinds. So he's really setting us up for the concluding verse here, where we have this enigmatic line, gamanaṁ sad-asadbhūtaḥ triprakāraṁ na gacchati. One who does and does not exist does not visiting of the three kinds. Or, in the hidden meaning, one who is truly beyond being right does not visiting of three kinds. So, from the English, one who does and does not exist is sad-asadbhūtaḥ. So, sad exists, asad not existing, sad existing, asad not existing, bhūtaḥ being. So being existent, being non-existent. Being existent and being non-existent. So one who does and does not exist. Does not visit, na gacchati, visiting of three kinds, again, gamanaṁ, triprakāraṁ. So again, the word order is totally relevant. Nagarjuna just arranges the order of the words so as to have the 16 syllables of the line in the proper meter. But then in a hidden meaning, sad, truly, asad, so true, sad, truly, not, sadbhūtaḥ, being true, being right. So sad-asadbhūtaḥ, nominative singular masculine, one, or he who, is truly beyond being right. Does not visit, na gacchati, visiting of three kinds, gamanaṁ, triprakāraṁ. So, I don't know this is how useful it is to tell people my these kind of autobiographical details, but at the end of my commentary yesterday, I did that kind of action, poof, to emphasize the point. There's only one goer. What was the Sanskrit again? Gantā. That's why two ways to go are impossible when there is one goer. So what he's suggesting here is, poof, that moment when you commit to a punch, you're already on the way to doing the punch. You know, if you're chopping wood, poof, it's no use someone saying to you halfway down the action, "Are you sure your axe is sharp enough?" You know. So action is like that. When you commit to it, there aren't two ways. You know, I think that's what he's pointing at. That is why two ways to go are impossible where there is one goer. And to be one goer, that's what it's all about. That's what Master Dogen said, Jijo Ippen, become one piece. And but then after I did some kind of show-off action like that, afterwards I kind of ironically enough, then I start thinking, perhaps I didn't do the right thing there. But perhaps that was when I do that, or when I split the wood. Is it really pure action, or am I just expressing my resentment? Anyway, I don't know. But what I do know is that I found myself unconsciously singing as I carried on working in the garden, constructing yet another compost bin for the never-ending supply of horse manure that I'm kindly provided by my neighbour's horse and donkey over there. I was singing, "It's my party and I'll cry if I want to." Just singing that, and I thought, what's making me sing that? And actually, I realised it was my response to this. Puff, puff. It's my unconscious response to Ron Collier's suggestion that I should be more informal, like Ron Murdoch. You see, now Ron Murdoch is a very gentle voice teacher, no kind of martial artist, you know, and so he sits there looking at the screen and say, "Be friendly, you know, be kind," and that's what people expect someone who's clarifying the Buddhist teaching to be like. They want to see a kindness in the eyes. Ron said to him it would be helpful if it was explained in that kind of way. Not, look, you're all a bunch of idiots, you haven't understood it at all. You know, but the latter is it's easier for me to do it that way, you know. And so in the Alexander work, as my wife always says, you have a choice. And my wife is an Alexander technique teacher, so she will say, you have a choice. That's how she sees things. You always have a choice. So just because Ron says, you know, Mike, you should, he doesn't say so directly, but if he suggests that I should come across as a little bit more user-friendly and informal and compassionate, the enlightened response to that is thinking, yeah, that's possible. I could go down that route and practice more whispered R's, you know, fake it until you make it sort of thing. But then the other choice is saying, oh, fuck that. I'll just carry on, you know, not trying to change. And the latter is really, really what Marjorie Barlow taught me. Because Marjorie, more than anybody really, gave me that sense of being free to choose. Because you've said, really having a choice. Because you've said no. And so I would never say to Marjorie, fuck off, Marjorie. But in my heart, I'm saying fuck off to the idea of being right. So this is why I'm commenting on this word sad-asadbhūtaḥ, to truly be beyond being right, as opposed to trying to please the teachers. You know, that's my first response when Ron gives me a slight suggestion. Is I want to get Ron's approval. I want to please the teacher, and that's precisely what Marjorie showed me. That's where the trouble starts. That's trying to be right, and the moment you have any slight idea of being right, you're trapped. And mainly, Marjorie used to say that is what religious life is all about. It's people going around trying to be right. And she quoted Alexander, her uncle, F.M. Alexander, saying, you all fix, it's your worst evil. You all fix instead of letting go and being in danger. And so again we come back to this word pariksha, exploration, exploring. See, exploring means you don't fucking know, you know. You see, you have to push the boundaries and find out. You can't explore by fixing and keeping on being right, you know. So that's why I found myself singing "It's My Party and I'll Cry If I Want to," because it's my freedom. I don't have to be express kindness and compassion. And, you know, part of the reason I'm now in France on my own is over the years of teaching, going back to England, teaching the Alexander technique and doing reflex work, and then going out in the garden, or better still coming to France and going out among nature here, repeating that process again and again. Often when I was in France, I would have the compassion would arise to go back and help people in England. But then I found more and more I was suppressing my resentment. There was a resentment there that I was feeling I had to suppress. You can't go into an Alexander teacher training school and be miserable. You have to, it's your job to take people up. So I was feeling more and more a lack of freedom in that. Whereas when I'm here, I mean, look at the forest behind me there. Been out this morning, the beautiful frosty morning. I go out in the garden. Yeah, in my element. Whereas in Alexander teaching school, I'm not in my element. You go home and, not the same satisfaction as I get from going working in the garden and then having a cup of hot coffee, being out in nature. So I hope this kind of, in some way, could clarify the point, Marjorie's point. I've talked about Marjorie's game, which is something that I can transmit because Marjorie taught me so clearly the elements of it. Lying down on her teaching table with the knees bent and saying no to 3 ideas. That's how she didn't frame it like that, but that's how I understood it. That's how I came to understand it. And the first thing you say no to is the idea of being right. There ain't no such animal as being right, but that doesn't stop us trying unconsciously all the time. So I get Ron's email, and what do? Without even realising it, email from Ron. Must go around like an arsehole, trying to smile behind the eyes, but come across as compassionate as Ron Murdoch. No. The truth is, I've got a lot of resentment, and it's my choice. I can express my resentment if I want to. Maybe not this morning, but I'm sure I'll have plenty more chances as the comments go on, chapter by chapter. So first thing, say no to the idea of trying to be right. And then say no to the idea of doing the directions. And again, you can't take that for granted, however many years you've been in the Alexander work, because we haven't evolved. We haven't evolved to think head forward and up and not to try and do it. We've evolved as human beings to do stuff. We haven't evolved. What Alexander called thinking is a kind of an evolutionary leap. That's what he called man's supreme inheritance. We have this possibility to reason our way in the right direction. Not into the right posture, because that's trying to be right. There is no such thing as a right posture. But what does it mean to let the head go forward and up? I'll tell you a story. My first or second lesson with Marjorie Barlow, she put her hands on my head and neck so she could sense exactly what was going on. And she said, let the head go forward. And she said straight away, no, you're doing it. Now, I didn't realise I was doing anything. I was just listening to her say head forward and up. But as soon as I heard the words, she told me I was doing it. So imperceptibly, without me realising it, I must have been trying to make a tiny little adjustment. Nothing as gross as the pulling in the chin in the old Zen way. But on some level, I was feeling it out, because feeling in the end is a kind of doing. I was trying to feel what head going forward meant. So she kept saying no. And I kept just like a fish the fish swimming under the reservoir who bumps into a wall and says, damn. That's what, again and again, she just kept saying, no, you're doing it. No, you're doing it. And now I'd been listening to a tape of Marjorie's lecture that I'd attended in Birmingham a few years earlier. And so I was listening to the tape, and on that tape, Marjorie said, it's like you're going on a picnic and you're wishing the weather is going to be fine. And I heard that, you know, as a martial artist of some years standing, I thought, well, you know, we'll bypass that one. That's a bit of an airy-fairy sort of a discussion. But then there I was on the spot. I was literally sweating because I wanted to make a good impression on Marjorie, and I wasn't getting past first base. She just kept saying, you're doing it, you're doing it. So then I remembered what I'd heard. Oh, God, maybe I'll try that. And so the very moment I thought, well, started thinking, well, she's asking me to wish that the head goes forward and up, like I'm wishing for the weather to be nice because I want to go on a picnic. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. And the moment I started thinking, she said, yes, that's it. She said, that's it. So what she was saying, yes, that's it to, is a moment of doubt there. I'd stopped trying, you know, to be the martial artist who punches, you know, fearlessly, doing this, that and the other. Just that moment where I started to think what it might mean, head forward and up. She said, yes, that's it. So apart from understanding, having a glimpse of what it might mean to think the directions instead of trying to do them on some subtle level, I left that lesson with a real spring in my step because I'd understood that she was asking me to use my reason. I'd solved the problem by using my old noddle, not by sort of acquiring some skill or learning how to do something, learning how to direct, but just seeing the solution to the problem was to use reason. And that's the first time I actually felt, oh, I could actually have an aptitude for this Alexander work, because I've never been particularly skillful with my hands in terms of fine arts or carpentry or anything that required skill with the hands. You know, in rugby, I was a forward, not a you know, a back with fine handling skills. So Alexander teacher training is a lot about learning how to use your hands skillfully. See, like my wife, for example, took like that to a duct of water. So, but if it's problem solving, then I realising that it had to do with problem solving, that's the first time I felt, oh, maybe I've got an aptitude for this. Using reason like that. So, back again, say no to trying to be right. Say no to trying to do the directions. Give up all idea that you can do the directions. The verbal orders, in other words. Let the neck be free, to let the head go forward and up, to let the back lengthen and widen, sending the knees forwards and away, all together, one after the other. Then the third thing to give up, third idea to give up, was the idea of moving the leg. So Marjorie would, having gone through the process of getting the directions all working together, so the whole body's informed with thought, sabakaya patisam vedi in Pali, the whole body informed with thought. Marjorie would say, Mike, I want you to move your leg. And so my job there was, again, don't try and please the teacher by doing a good movement. Give the directions, but don't try and do them. Neck free, head forward and up. Head forward and up, back to lengthen and widen. Knees forwards and away. Or if you're lying on your back, left knee up to the ceiling, right knee up to the ceiling as you move the right leg. But then, you know, you don't have to move it. You can move it or not move it. And especially in the decision to not move it, there seemed to be a gateway to further freedom, more opening up, release of tension, breathing becomes better. And so that go through that process again and again and again until eventually you've completely given up the idea of moving the leg and have thus rendered yourself free to go on and move the leg. So that's the poof. What is it again? In Sanskrit, gati dve no vidyate yasmade katra gantari. That is why 2 ways to go are impossible where there is 1 goer. That's the action of moving the leg. The Holy Grail in Alexander work is when the leg just seems to move itself. So it's what you've been thinking in preparation for the movement is the important part of the Alexander work. But that only counts if you are actually going to move the leg. There has to be an action there for it to be working on yourself in the Alexander work. So the Alexander work is about thinking. It's learning what thinking is. But it's also about action. You think and think and think and move. The leg has to move, or it isn't Alexander work. So all that is my attempt to clarify what I think below the surface is meant by sad-asadbhūtaḥ, one who is truly beyond being right. And again, I've been helped. If that understanding is true, then I've been helped by Marjorie Barlow. But I've been helped by understanding, by reading Shobogenzo. I've been guided through that by Nishijima Sensei, especially the chapter 28, Butsukoujin or G. I've also been helped by Ashvaghosha, because if you read my blog where I commented verse by verse on Ashvaghosha's 2 epic poems, the most common phrases you'll find there is on the surface, blah, 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 below the surface, the hidden meaning is such and such. So translating Ashvaghosha was good groundwork for doing this translation, in the sense it renders you alert to possible hidden meanings. Now I'm probably missing huge amounts of them already. But as a principle, Sanskrit lends itself very well to ambiguity and therefore to having layers of deeper meaning that only come to the surface after plenty of digging. So the final line of the chapter, tasmād. So tasmād, on these grounds. Okay, so on these grounds, it doesn't mean based on the above logic. It means on these grounds that I've just been trying to clarify. The grounds for the concluding line is not philosophical logic. The grounds is how many years you've been placing your arse on a round black cushion and struggling to understand what it means to, in the first instance, what it means to have good posture, good sitting posture. And then as your understanding deepens, you realise that's not where it's at. That you've been barking at the wrong tree in your efforts to have good posture. The point is not to have good posture. The point is rather to deepen your understanding of what the Buddha meant by pratitya samutpadam, going up together by going back. What did he mean by dependent arising? What did he mean by emptiness? So on these grounds means on the grounds of exploring that stuff in practice. On these grounds, tasmād, there is no. So I've translated na vidyate here as there is no. But na vidyate is more literally is not found. And generally I translate it is not found. But just in this don't know if you can hear behind me, the postman is playing his radio unfeasibly loudly. And that's why I momentarily stopped what I was saying and see, my auditory system is very poor. And just reminding me again of that quotation from Butsu Kōjō no Ji. Zen friends, now tell me, what is this matter of going up beyond a Buddhist patriarch? There is a child of an ordinary human family whose 6 sense organs are incomplete and whose 7 kinds of consciousness are imperfect. Well, if ever there was anybody whose 6 sense organs are incomplete, thank you to the postman who is just now departing. That's reminded me. That's exactly, I am that person. My auditory system is really rubbish. So when my silence is intruded on by a loud noise, I feel like going like that, not as a manifestation of action, but just as a manifestation of anger. Unfortunately, I understand it. You know, in those kind of situations, it helps to understand, have some kind of understanding of what the cause is. And I understand it's a problem in my vestibular system. And the faults in the vestibular system mean that the Moro reflex, although it's a convenient fiction, there is no such thing as a simple reflex. Nevertheless, it helps you to understand there is this immature, childlike response to a threatening stimulus. That's what the infant would do. And in adults with so-called labile emotions, undue reactions to things like sounds, or for me, especially sounds, these problems which have a strong genetic component help to explain what the problem is. So apologies for that slight digression. I was on the point of explaining the meaning of tasmād, on these grounds. And on these grounds, vidyate is not found, gatiś, a way to go, gatihi, a way to go, and gantā, a goer. So tasmād gatiś cha gantā cha vidyate. On these grounds, there is no way to go and no goer. So I think what he's saying by on these grounds doesn't mean on the grounds of your philosophical logic. On these grounds means, as we saw yesterday, kaschid kimchid hi gacchati. For somebody is visiting something. These are the grounds that like the Heart Sutra, mu du du mu 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 chi mu yaku mu chi mu toku mu sho doku ko, all these mu, not this, not that, no way to go, no goer. The grounds for understanding that is not some brilliantly clear philosophical explanation. The grounds is somebody visiting something. It means somebody practicing something, somebody experiencing something, not just somebody working something out intellectually. So on these grounds, there is no way to go and no goer. On the grounds of exploring, on the grounds of really wanting to know what the Buddha taught, and making that exploration on the grounds of really wanting to help people. because in the end, that's what problem solving is about, isn't it? Everybody wants to be useful, to be helpful, to help people solve their problems. It's on those grounds that there's no way to go and no goer. On the grounds of making an effort unselfishly, not because you want to get a doctorate in Buddhist studies or become famous for your latest interpretation of Nagarjuna's teaching. And then the real punchline is the last pada. Gantavyaṃ chana vidyate. And there is no place to go and visit. On these grounds, there is no way to go and no goer. And there is no place to go and visit. So gantavyaṃ, so avya means to be something. So gantavyaṃ means to be gone to be visited. So literally gantavyaṃ vidyate means a to be visited or a to be gone to is not found. So there is no place to go and visit. So this is a denial of end gaining in Alexander terms. It's like polishing a tile in Shobogenzo, the mirror being the thing you'd like to. Our idealistic conception is we'd like to be enlightened, we'd like to make a mirror, and the antidote to that is the teaching of just polishing a tile. That's the same expression of gantavyaṃ vidyate. There's no place to go and visit. But again, understanding of what Nagarjuna is really getting at only emerges when you kind of cross-reference this to the conclusions of other chapters. So the conclusion of chapter 5 is astitvaṁ yetu paśyanti nāstitvaṁ cālpa-buddhayaḥ bhāvānāṁ te na paśyanti draṣṭavyopaśamaṁ śivam. Draṣṭavyopaśamaṁ śivam. So that's quite a humorous little verse in its own way. So cālpa-buddhayaḥ means people of meagre intelligence, little Buddhas, if you like. Alpa means small, and buddhayaḥ, cālpa-buddhayaḥ means little Buddhas or people of little awakening, people of little meagre intelligence. They see paśyanti astitvaṁ, existence, nāstitvaṁ, non-existence. So astitva is again from the verbal root as, to be, astitva, being, existence, nāstitvaṁ, non-existence. So people who see the existence and non-existence, bhāvānāṁ, of things, of existing things. So they see non-empty things or absence of non-empty things. Those people are blind, na paśyanti, they do not see, cessation, upashama, of the to be seen, draṣṭavya. So draṣṭavyopaśamaṁ is the cessation of the to be seen, and that is śivam, happiness. So that in turn links us back to the dedicatory verses that say the Buddha taught pratitya samutpadam prapanchopaśamaṁ śivam. So dependence arising, pratitya samutpadam, prapanchopaśamaṁ, cessation of prapancha, cessation of spinning things into self-existence, and śivam, happiness. So that verse says draṣṭavyopaśamaṁ. Instead of prapanchopaśamaṁ, cessation of prapancha, this is draṣṭavyopaśamaṁ, cessation of draṣṭavya, the cessation of the to be seen. In other words, the cessation of the to be realized, the cessation of enlightenment, the cessation of the desire to make a mirror, happiness. So you can see from that prapanchopaśamaṁ is linked in Nagarjuna's thoughts with gantavyaṃ na vidyate. There's no place to go and visit. So when we conceive, even if it's something small like I want to show everybody kindness behind the eyes, like Ron Murdoch, and then I'll be, like Ron says, I'll be more helpful to people. That's little bits of prapancha being set up, you know. Instead of being whoever the hell I am, I want to be like that. So I'd like to go and visit that condition of like the Dalai Lama. So I wouldn't mind being like that, you know, where you gigglingly spout platitudes and you've got a whole bunch of followers adoring you and hanging on your every word. That might be better than being stuck here by the forest on my own and nobody listening to a word I'm saying. But no, what this is saying, that kind of thinking is prapancha. You're spinning into existence states, conditions that you're turning them into things that you would like to go and visit. The grounds that Nagarjuna's pointing to, on these grounds, there is no way to go and no goer, and there is no place to go and visit. I talk about coming back to France again over the years. When I'm back in England, often when I've been in France, I wanted to go back to England, thinking that I could, as an Alexander teacher, was working with the reflexes, I can be useful to people. And that's why I've gone back. Apart from wanting to see my family and so on, of course, as well. But there's been the impulse there to go back and help people. But over the years, that has sort of dwindled in a way. On the other hand, when I'm back in England, I often think something in me wants to come back to France, but I think I'm really sure that I want to get on my bike or get in the car and go all that way. You know, so before I would leave the house in Aylesbury and come to France, there was a doubt, you know, in my mind whether I was doing the right thing or not. But when I got here after a couple of days, I'd always think, because I'm trying to explain what it means on these grounds. On these grounds, there's no place to go and visit. So I've got hazel trees growing along there, and so sometimes I'll make hazel thumbsticks, you know. So walking back from the zazen cabin at the end of the garden on a sunny morning like today, holding the thumbstick, you just think, I'm in my element here. This is where I belong. So, gantavyaṃ na vidyate. That's what it means, I think. There's no place to go and visit. It doesn't mean you've understood the meaning of the Heart Sutra with your top 2 inches. It means, you know, you've made whatever effort you needed to make to find yourself, and finding yourself, ironically, means dropping off body and mind. Finding yourself such that you can let go of self-consciousness. And when we play the recitation now by Professor Kashinath Nyawpane, you'll see that he repeats the last line of the last verse of the chapter, which is quite a nice touch, because some of those last lines really are worth memorising and committing to memory and revisiting. Tasmād gatiś cha gantā cha gantavyaṃ cha na vidyate. On these grounds, there is no way to go and no goer, and there is no place to go and visit.
sadbhūto gamanaṁ gantā triprakāraṁ na gacchati nāsadbhūto gamanaṁ triprakāraṁ sa gacchati gamanaṁ sad-asadbhūtaḥ triprakāraṁ na gacchati tasmād gatiś gantā gantavyaṃ ca na vidyate tasmād gatiś gantā gantavyaṃ ca na vidyate.